Hey everyone, welcome into Unit 6, Day 7, the last day of notes for this unit. Today we are going to be graphing absolute value equations. Students will be able to write absolute value equations by identifying the vertex and the slope with 80% accuracy. All right, so writing absolute value equations when given a graph. So let's take a look. Step number 1, we want to go ahead and find the vertex, which, again, as a reminder, is the highest or the lowest point. Okay, and now to identify the vertex, also reminder, we need the opposite of h, and then we're going to do whatever k is. That's what we're going to place. And then step 2, we want to find the slope. If the graph opens up, remember that the slope is going to be positive. If the graph opens facing down, remember that the slope is going to be negative. And then step 3, we want to write the absolute value equation in standard form, which, as a reminder, is y equals a times the absolute value of x minus h, close the absolute value, and then we're adding our value for x. Remember, a is the slope. So let's write this, find the slope, which is a. Add that to your notes. All right, so let's go ahead and give it a go. So example number 1, the first thing as a reminder is asking us to find the vertex. So I'm going to go ahead and circle the vertex right here. Is that point at the very bottom of our graph in this case? And the coordinate for that is we're going left 4 and we're going up 1. So the vertex is -4, +1. And now we want to go ahead and we want to find our slope, but we have to also decide which way it opens, right? So the graph is open facing up, which means our slope is going to be positive. So we go up 1 to the right 1. That's a rise of 1 and a run of 1, which equals a slope of 1. So now we're going to put this into our equation, which is y equals a, which is our slope. So 1, absolute value, x. Now it's the opposite of our x value. So our x value is -4. So the opposite would be +4 plus 4. And then we're going to add whatever value we have for our y value, or k. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at example 2. Again, it's reminding us to find the vertex first, which in this case is the highest point in the graph. And this coordinate is, well, we go over 3 to the right 3, and then we go up to 4. So our vertex is 3, 4. The graph is opening facing down, and our slope is going to be negative because of that. So we're going to count down 1, 2, and to the right 1, 2. So that's -2 over 2, which equals -1. Now we're going to go ahead and write our equation, which is y equals a, which is our slope, -1, times the absolute value of x. And then we're going to do the opposite of our x value for our vertex. So 3 turns to -3, absolute value. And then we're going to write down whatever our y value is for k. So +4. Okay, let's go ahead and try the next one. Number 3. First step, find the vertex. This time it's on the x-axis. It's to the left, -5. So our x coordinate is -5, and we go up or down 0. So we're right on the x-axis, so our y value is 0. So -5, 0. the graph opens facing upward, which means our slope is positive. We go up 1 to the right 2. So it's a positive 1 over 2. Now to write the equation, y equals our a value, which is slope, absolute value, x. Now the opposite of our x value for our vertex, so -5 turns to +5. And then 0, we just don't write anything on the outside, right? We don't want to write +0 because +0 doesn't change anything. So we just leave it blank. No value for k because it's just 0. Okay, go ahead, try example number 4. We'll come back and we'll do a few more examples. See you in a few. All right, welcome back. Let's take a look at example number 4. So as you can see, I've circled our vertex, which is the highest point this time because it's a downward facing graph. So our vertex is -3, -2, and then our graph opens facing down. And as you can see, for our rise over run, we have to count down 3 and to the right 2. Our slope is -3 over 2. When we plug that in, remember that we have to do the opposite, right? So it was -3 for h, and we plug in, do the opposite, so it's +3. And then our y value is -2, so it just stays -2. Okay, let's flip to the back side, and let's take a look at a few more examples. All right, example number 5. The process is the same as before. We find our vertex. Now we are going over 0 and we're going down to 9. So 0, -9 is our coordinate. The graph opens facing up, so we know our slope is going to be positive. Now this time we have to find another point to count for our slope, right? We need 2 points. So this point looks good right here. It means we're going to go counting up 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're counting up 4. We're going to the right 1, which means our slope is 4. Now we have the necessary information. So y equals our slope, 4 for our a value, x. Now the opposite of our x value. Well, our x value for our vertex is 0. So we don't have to write +0, right? We don't do that. We just write nothing, right? Nothing else joins the x inside the absolute value. And then we keep our y value for our vertex the same, -9. All right, we're going to skip 6 to have you all try that, but we're going to go to number 7 first. There's a few other things I want to take a look at. Our vertex. This time we are going -7, and then we're going to go -8. -7, -8. Then we have, which way does our graph open? It opens facing up. The v is facing up. And then we have our slope, so we have to find another coordinate on here. This one looks good to me, so we go up 1, 2, 3, 4. We go to the right 2, which simplifies to 2. And again, it's going to be positive because our graph is facing up. Now we go ahead, right into our standard form. Y equals, our slope is 2, absolute value of x. Our value is -7. We have to do the opposite, so it's +7. And then we just write -8 on the outside. We leave it as is. Okay, one more example, then you will have a few to try. Our vertex is the highest point in this graph, but it is at the origin, right? It's just 0, 0. So now we recognize that the graph opens facing down, which means our slope is automatically, we know it's going to be negative. And I have 2 coordinates picked out for us already. We go down 1 to the right 1. So down 1, right 1 is a slope of 1. So we go y equals our slope of 1. And then we have times the absolute value of x. And again, we're not going to write +0 because +0 doesn't do anything to our expression. So we just leave it out. And then we don't write +0 for our k value because, again, Adding 0 doesn't change anything. So it's just y equals 1 times the absolute value of k. And I didn't mention this before, but just as a reminder, you do not have to write that value on the outside for slope. And actually, my mistake, this should be a -1 for our slope. So it should be -1 times the absolute value of x. Okay, go ahead, go back, try the last 3 remaining problems, and then we'll check our answers. See you back in a few. All right, welcome back. Let's go ahead and take a look at example number 6. So our vertex is over 0 and up 4, so 0, 4. The graph is opening facing down, so we know our slope's going to be negative. And as you can see, I count down 1 and to the right 3, so our slope is -1/3. And our equation is -1/3 times the absolute value of x. We don't put anything else on the inside of the absolute value because our x value is 0. And then we close the absolute value and do +4 because our y value of our vertex is +4. All right, number 8. Again, our vertex is on the y-axis, so we go 0, -1. It's up this time, so it's going to be a positive slope, and I got +2/3. We count up 2 to the right 3, and we land on a nice point. Then we write our equation, so slope is 2/3, so that goes first, times the absolute value of x, and nothing else goes on the inside, because again, our x value for our vertex is 0, and then -1 just stays as is on the outside of our absolute value. Last one, number 9. Our vertex is 7, 3. It's opening up facing down, so our slope is negative. And because our x value is 7, we have to do the opposite and make it -7. And then 3 just stays the same, right? It's a +3, so we just write +3. Awesome. Very good job today. I hope you all did okay. If you have any questions, please reach out to your teacher. Otherwise, this concludes the notes for Unit 6. Good luck on your test, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Peace out.